How's it going, everyone? This is Andrew from Drew Code Sports Talk, and I'm going to be kicking off the 30 for 30 Major League Baseball teams. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going by each league, so American League and National League, and then I will be breaking it down by division, AL Central or NL Central, and then I'll be breaking it down by each team, and I will tell you who I believe is the best baseball player on that certain team. Now, if you're a fantasy baseball player, this is going to be perfect because this should be the player that you should draft from each Major League Baseball team. So without further ado, let's get started on day one of 30. All right. Well, hey, we're going to be starting in the AL Central, and we're going to be starting with a certain team called the Kansas City Royals. That's right. We're going to be starting with the Royals, and I wrote down 4 players that I think potentially could be those guys that you should get. And I wrote down Alberto Mondesi, the shortstop, Hunter Dozier, the third baseman, Whit Merrifield, the second baseman, or Salvador Perez, the catcher. Now, a lot of people would say, I'm not sure Perez should be on there. Well, the year before he got injured last year, which he was out all last year, he was phenomenal. He had over 27 home runs, and he hit over 300 batting average. So Salvador Perez does deserve to be on this list, even though he didn't play last year, and he is a little bit older, but he's not my pick. A lot of people would argue maybe Mondesi, because he had 43 stolen bases and hit over 300. No, he's not it either. I'm going with Whit Merrifield. Whit Merrifield has been fantastic the last few years for the Kansas City Royals. He's been a bright spot on what you would call a struggling team, to say the least. Whit Merrifield is a multiple position guy, so again, if you're a fantasy player, he is perfect. Not only is he the second baseman, he also will play outfield on some games during the year. So for fantasy perspective, you can swap him for different positions, which is really nice. But what I love about Whit Merrifield is not that he's a multiple position guy. He is a guy who is consistent. Last year, he hit a batting average of .302, an on-base percentage of .348. He had 16 home runs, 74 RBIs, 20 stolen bases, and my favorite stat from him last year, he had 206 hits last year. That's phenomenal. Usually you want to kind of be around that if you're going to hit over 300, but the last 2 years, he's hit over 300. So that is really, really consistent. And so if you're looking for a player to kind of watch for the Royals, Whit Merrifield is the guy to watch because he's a 15-15 guy. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, he's a 15 home run, 15 stolen base guy every single year. He's going to be that consistent. And what we've seen the last couple of years, he's also going to be a consistent 300 hitter. And what's really nice about him too, yes, I'm not even done, is he is the 1 or 2 hitter in the Royals lineup. So he's usually batting 1 or 2 in the lineup and still hitting 300. And if you're not really quite sure what I'm trying to get at, he is getting more and more at-bats than a lot of the other players in the majors because he's hitting so high up in the lineup. So he is still hitting 300 even though he's at 1 or 2 in the lineup. Whit Merrifield is a perfect guy for fantasy players, but also for the Royals. And if you are the Royals, it hasn't looked great, but with you having 4 players on this list, that means there might be some good coming out of the Kansas City Royals. I for sure love Whit Merrifield. This guy is very consistent. He's got great stats, but I love that he played all 162 games last year, which means there's no risk of injury. And when he is healthy, he is not going to miss a game. He is going to play all the time. So you fantasy baseball players, Whit Merrifield is a good draft pick. And for you guys who are kind of curious of who I believe is the best player on the Royals, I'm going with Whit Merrifield. All right, guys, tomorrow, day 2, is another team.